In the next 60 minutes here on Newsnight, fire service uncovers evidence showing how arsonists targeted tam-printed ballot papers, setting it on fire with car tires before leaving the Kwashieman cluster of schools housing electoral materials engulfed in an inferno.
But we could tell that they were tam-printed ballot papers. Now someone had tried to use car tire to burn them behind the school, which means that there was a deliberate attempt by someone to destroy these ballot boxes.
Also coming up, President-elect John Dramani Mahama lashes out at ongoing government for constructing some of its Agenda 111 hospitals in areas where churches have already established medical facilities.
In communities where you had a good operating mission hospital, rather than go and build another hospital to compete with it, we should spend the resources expanding the mission hospital so that it can provide the same quality healthcare that we expect.
Bring you more as he plans to soon inaugurate a committee to implement his 120-day social contract with Ghanaians.
We're going to work diligently to make sure that at the end of 120 days we're able to put a check on each of them. I'll soon inaugurate a committee. It's focused on achieving the 120-day plan, and under it we have Operation Recover All the Loot.
We're live at the office of the President-elect, where Archbishop Duncan Williams has been asking Ghanaians to manage their expectations.
Most times when new president and government comes, there's a very high expectations. Expectations have to be managed because you are a vessel.
Also coming up, governing New Patriotic Party turns to the Electoral Commission for clarity on how to proceed with disputed parliamentary elections in 5 constituencies after NDC dragged the commission to court.
And in business, Talu Oil assures investors of a strong business despite Cosmos Energy halting plans to acquire the entity.
And in sports, Brazil and Real Madrid forward Vinicius Jr. crowned as FIFA Best Player of the Year. We'll bring you reaction shortly.
We have this, plus tell you what Vice President Bawumia's close confidant has been saying about the pre-election research that showed the NPP was set for defeat.
None of us expected a loss and a loss by such a gap. Okay, so all that put together, they have very good reasons why they were not coming to vote. And we just want to apologize to the base that, look, the New Patriotic Party has disappointed them. And this particular victory by the NDC was so massive that we couldn't have done anything about it.
You want to join us with your views and comments here on Newsnight? Send me a WhatsApp 05511119997. My name is Evans Mensah.
And I am Faustina Safo.
You're live here on Newsnight, and later the countdown is on for the year's biggest Christmas event. The Joy FM Family Party in the Park promises an exciting live band experience with performances by Commodore and Kwabena.
We have the whole park to ourselves. To give people that freedom and that enough space to bond, to chat, and to have everything.
Join us for that later or here on Newsnight. But now, though, fire service have tonight uncovered evidence showing how arsonists targeted tam-printed ballot papers, setting it on fire with car tires before leaving the Kwashieman cluster of schools housing electoral materials engulfed in an inferno.
Well, the Ghana Police Service have opened a parallel investigation into the incident in the Ablikman North constituency where the parliamentary election is in dispute. Well, the school served as a storage center for electoral materials for the 2024 parliamentary and presidential elections, all of which were destroyed by the fire. We'll hear from the Ghana Fire Service shortly, but first, here's a report filed by my colleague Collins Frimpong, who was at the scene earlier.
The sad incident happened around 1 a.m. today, according to an eyewitness. Kwashieman cluster of schools, the school which housed the election materials for the parliamentary and presidential elections in the Ablikman North constituency, was set ablaze. Facilities such as the library, which housed the materials themselves, as well as the science lab and also the ICT lab, were all set ablaze. An eyewitness gave an account of what transpired.
Around midnight, we got wind of what was happening. So we came around, and there was the police and then one fire tender. Obviously, it is the ballot papers that were being stored here, because behind me, behind the wall, we have discovered ballot papers that have been burnt. This is where the others were also being kept. So generally that's our suspicion.
What we are seeing here, the ground floor was the place that the ballot papers, everything were kept.
Exactly. After the elections, all the polling stations, we saw them come in taxis, and they were coming with all the electoral materials.
The headmistress, who spoke to Joy News off air, told Joy News that the school management have taken a decision to allow the students to go home today, even though they were expected to write exams and vacate on Thursday. They await the decision from the Municipal Director of Education. Security officials, including the police and the fire service, have begun investigations into the matter. Ablekuma North constituency is one of the constituencies that collation is yet to be completed officially.
Well, member of the public relations team of the Ghana Fire Service, Alex Gignati, says there is evidence that suggests some unknown individuals sought to destroy the ballot papers stored at the collation center.
We are still conducting an investigation. It looks like the initial assessment points to Arson, but we don't want to jump the gun. We don't want to cause fear and panic, and we don't want to mislead the public. So we want to, again, conduct an investigation so that we're able to come up with credible investigation, because obviously the stakes are high, and we wouldn't want to leave any stone unturned. So if truly our investigation points out to Arson, then we'll hand over the case to the police for them to prosecute the perpetrators.
What were destroyed when you got to the scene?
So the fire had started at the ground floor, which was the library of the school. And the library was the place that had stored an unspecified amount or unspecified number of ballot boxes. So that one was destroyed. Upon our assessment, when we were going around also, we saw some ballot papers, defaced ballot papers, or ballot papers that were being bent at the back. So we tried to put it out, but they were already damaged. But we could tell that they were hand-printed ballot papers. That someone had tried to use car tire to burn them behind the school, which means that there was a deliberate attempt by someone to destroy these ballot boxes or the ballot papers.
When did you receive the distress call that the place was on fire?
We received the distress call around 12:30, and then within 10 minutes, our team from Anya got to the scene to start fighting the fire. But upon arrival, they realized the fire was well alight and spreading fast. So they had to call for reinforcements from our teams at national headquarters, and then also from Circle to augment. So by 2 a.m., they were able to put the fire under control, meaning that the fire was not totally out, but it was out of danger and confined to just the place to prevent the fire from further spread.
But the NDC constituency organizer for Ablekuma North, Musa Kalamu, says the police has more questions to answer because prior to the incident, they raised alarm over the state of the electoral materials.
Well, let's bring in the National Democratic Congress, and they have taken part of this matter to court already. But with the evidence now destroyed, what will this mean for their case? Dr. Tanko Rashid Computer is a Deputy National Director of Elections and IT at the NDC. Thank you for your time here on Newsnight. So this definitely will have an impact on the case that you filed before the court. How is the party reacting to the burning of the materials at Ablekuma North?
Evans, let me say good evening to you and your cherished listeners. And let me take this opportunity to express my condolence to Honorable Haruna Idrisu for losing his mother. May the good Lord be with our mother. It's a heavy loss to the NDC fraternity and the people of the North. May the good Lord be with her. Evans, this thing is a worrying phenomenon. And I think the security need to up their game, especially the Ghana Police Service and then the Fire Service. They should up their game and get the report quickly, so that if there's symptoms of arson is found out, those people should be prosecuted. But in any case, it cannot disturb our writ at the High Court, in the sense that ballot papers recounting is not allowed at collation centers. At the collation centers, we deal with summary sheets and then collation forms, as well as pink sheets. So those materials don't enter into the ballot boxes. So if somebody's intention is to disturb the evidence that we have and all that, and to go and burn the ballot boxes that contain ballot papers, some printed ballot papers already, then the person has failed in advance.
The suspicion is that the NDC, you have a hand in this. Do you have a hand in this?
This is criminal-minded if somebody should think that way. why would the NDC who won the election fairly go about doing this again? Because we need that evidence in order to strengthen our position that we have won the election. So why would the NDC go that path? We have won. We were declared winners. And then we have our pinches. We don't need ballot boxes. We don't need those materials. It's immaterial.
But the MPP needs it. In fact, they have said in a statement yesterday that they need a recollection. If you are going to recollect, you need those pink sheets that were stored in the school now have been burnt.
The thing is, they are talking of pink sheets. Pink sheets are not put into ballot boxes. They are not put in there.
But the school did not only house the ballot papers, it also housed the pink sheets. The electoral materials were all stored in the school.
The thing is, the pink sheets and everything are supposed to be housed by the director of elections, because the returning officer would have returned everything to him and they would have stored it in their office. I don't think the school is their office. So for them to tell us that pink sheets are banned or other things, it will be an interesting thing, because I don't think they would have stored those materials over there. Knowing the contentious issues of the constituency, they wouldn't have stored those things. Nonetheless, but we think that in doing collation, we'll deal with the pink sheets. We have our copies, we're officially declared, and we have the summary sheets as well as the collation forms, which contain all these results. So it's inconsequential that if somebody should go burn ballot boxes that contain already printed ballot papers and other materials, it doesn't affect our case.
Stay with me here, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer. Joining me right now, Richard Ahiagba is the Director of Communications at the NPP. Richard, it doesn't affect the NDC's case. You just heard Dr. Tanko articulate. Does it affect your case? Your case is that this must be recollated.
Well, thank you very much. I think it affects everything to the extent that we are trying to establish who might have caused that fire there. I think we should lean heavily on the police to try and do a proper investigation. But whatever the outcome of that investigation is, it will not help us arrive at the recollation that we need to be able to declare the winners of that constituency as it ought to be. Now, I heard Dr. Tanko talking about they have won that constituency. It is not true, okay? The pink sheets they are talking about, that they have tabulated and therefore they have won, it's not correct. They lost that election by some 411 votes. I myself, I was in that constituency, supported the constituency secretary to do a press conference calling for a recollation of the votes there. The NDC have resisted that. They set up at the police training school to have these things cleared. The NDC has refused that. Now, so it then sets reasonable suspicion for anyone to assume that what has happened there, the NDC, even though it is far-fetched now to say they did it, but there's a plausible basis to suspect them that they may have an interest in the burning of that installation as to, destroy any evidence.
Dr. Tanko denies that categorically when I put that.
That's what I'm saying. That I'm not. If you see what I said even though they deny it, there's a plausible basis, okay, to suspect them that they may because the outcome of that will benefit them. Our numbers show that we have won the election. If Dr. Tanko, I'm not sure he was at Ablikmanov when this whole issue started. It was their people who destroyed the pink sheets. Our pink sheets, what we have for Ablikmanov, is electronic. Fortunately for us, our people scanned them. But the physical paper copy of our copy of the pink sheet was destroyed by their people at the coalition center when they had called for people to bring it.
So your certified true copies of the pink sheets have been destroyed too?
By them, yes. I mean, this was done on the same day, on the election day.
But they were in your possession, so how did they get hold of it?
You said?
They were in your possession. How did they get hold of it to destroy it?
So there was a whole setup where they had called for people to come. okay, to move into, there was a disturbance, and post that disturbance, they had called for our people to come back so that the recollation will be done. And when our people were moving, gathered by police, they got midway, and then the police stayed away, and then they were abused, beaten, and the pink sheets taken away from them. So what we have for Ablekuma North in terms of pink sheets now are the scanned copies.
But no scanned copies will not be legally acceptable if it goes to court. In fact, it's now before the court.
But I'm saying that, so the point is that when you go to court, you have to establish what happened with the original pink sheets.
But without
the original pink sheet had been vandalized by the NDC thugs.
So it's impossible then to arrive at a conclusion as to who won.
This is the point we have to make very strongly. The rest of the places, about 264 constituencies that are not in contention. What happened there? There was order. There was no such disruption by the NDC people. The process was allowed to unfold, and therefore they established who won and who didn't win. But these places where the NDC knew they were losing, and having seen the numbers, and they feel that they want an overwhelming majority as to attain 2/3, now they have started disrupting the processes so that they can muddy the waters and somehow gain additional from what they know. If the MPP wins all the remaining seats, they will not get the 2/3 they are looking for. So they are actually bent on destroying evidence and create doubt in people's minds so that this seat would go to them. I think that is undemocratic. That is wrong. Dr. Tanko is a seasoned person. He's done this over years in the northern region up until now. So at least they want the election. Nobody's contending that. But these skirmishes they are doing, I think, is pushing the whole country too far. And I think the earlier they stop it, the better.
But Richard, in a court of competent jurisdiction, do you accept?
We are not in court.
Yeah,
so
but
we're not in court.
The NDC
we're talking political happenings. We're not in court.
Yeah,
so if they go to court, they can ask court questions. But here, we're not in court.
There's no if now. They have actually filed the case in court already, and I'm pretty sure you know this if you haven't been served. Yesterday, I was speaking to your director of elections, who acknowledges that indeed they await the EC's directive on what to do now that the case is in court. If it comes to it, and it will because it's in court, you do not have the evidence to support your case that you want, considering that you now admit that your pink sheets have been destroyed. You accept that?
Yes. So what I'm saying is that the reason I was telling you this is not court is that when you go to court, the specific evidence for how the pink sheet originally was destroyed will be established. And so if there's a criminal participation of the NDC people in destroying that will be established. And the court will take that into account and seeking a secondary evidence, because it will not just stop at the point that there's no pink sheet. So I think we didn't have it. We have it, but they destroyed it. You understand? So if they were active in destroying that, then they actually were doing it so that they can mislead or more or less subvert the will of the people, and the court will take that into account. But my concern primarily now is that the NDC is trying to push a certain narrative in the country. I think that it's not healthy for our democracy. They lost these seats in question, but they are doing everything they can to actually seize some of them, and I think it's not healthy. This whole thing about going to court, they feel that when you go to court, it will be stalled, the matters will be stalled in court, and so therefore there are people that have been declared would go through parliament up until some time or maybe the end of term. And you know how the precedent on some of these parliamentary litigations have been. It will be far into the term before any decision would be arrived at, by which point they feel that their skirmishes would have won the day, those people will sit in parliament. And that's what they are arguing. They're saying that, because they're in court and so therefore go to the court. And meanwhile, there are people who have been forcefully, acclaimed to be the winners, would then be sitting in parliament. I don't think that is democratic. I don't think anybody should condone that. They have won an election in which the New Patriotic Party had not contested it.
I mean, but Dr. Rashid Tanko, very finally to you. I mean, keeping them honest. Yesterday, at the Greater Accra Regional Coalition Center, we saw NDC supporters burning tires, and the police had a tough time trying to control that. They spoke to the media, they were agitating, and they besieged the place. We haven't seen that from MPP supporters, at least not at the coalition center. I'm talking specifically about yesterday. That is what the evidence points to, that it's your supporters who are inflicting this pain, this chaos, this violence on the Electoral Commission officers and at collation centers where the EC officers were doing their constitutionally mandated jobs?
Evans, is it the issue you refer to is as a result of the behavior of the electoral officer for Major Bawi? Like I explained to you initially, at the collation center, if you don't fill Form C, you cannot declare results under Form D.
But you do not take the law into your own hands and send party hoodlums
that
to
is the difficulty
EC collation
and I'm
centers.
saying that yes, much as people interest, sometimes we need to be measured in some of the things that happen. Much as we are not happy with certain things happening, but it's the cause of the issue. Because when we told them, let's sit at IPAC and discuss it, Evan, why are they refusing to respond to the letter written to them by our General Secretary to call an emergency IPAC meeting over these issues? Why? This is a platform that can resolve all these issues, and then we all have heads up. But they are refusing. What is their intention? What is the motive behind that? In any case, look, Evans, the two-thirds majority that they are talking of, we have 182 officially declared for us. Just fell short of 2 seats. Okay, 182 seats. They are suffering with 78 seats. That is how their party has collapsed.
Well, that's a subject, I believe, for when this matter is finally resolved and you've already gone to court in this. I want to hear from you. If you live in that constituency and you may have been affected by that, let's hear from you. 055-11-11997. Dr. Tanko Rashid Computer is the Deputy National Director of Elections and IT at the NDC, and Richard Ahiagba is the Director of Communications at the MPP. There's some blame now coming the way of the Electoral Commission for Steve.
Indeed. Security analyst Kenel Festus Abwaji says the Electoral Commission must take responsibility for the incident, stating that they've been negligent with security.
Election material, these ballot papers, of course including the devices that we use, are materials that need to be safely stored for a period of time in case there are legal issues before the courts. And for instance, the courts direct that some ballot papers or ballot boxes in ballot papers in ballot boxes must be recounted. So therefore, the EC's calculation of the safety and security of these materials is not only before the elections. When these materials, we all were told, were stored at police armories, from where they were then distributed. Now, this is one clear case where the EC, rather than take responsibility for negligence and dereliction of duty, says I'm not responsible for security. But why do you store election materials, whether in a lab or science lab, whatever it is, where people go in and out, when that particular locality is in dispute? I mean, what calculations inform the EC to negligently allow these boxes to be stored at a place where people can commit arson? So it is, I mean, after so many election cycles, one would have thought that the EC, or by this time we as a people, would have designated or come to a common agreement that after elections, materials must be stored at police stations, which was where they were before we went for the elections. So it's seriously a dereliction of duty.
Well, away from that, President-elect John Dramani Mahama is taking on the outgoing government for constructing some of its Agenda 111 hospitals in areas where churches already had established medical facilities.
Well, President Akufo-Addo at the beginning of his second term promised all projects under Agenda 111 will be completed in 18 months, but many of the hospitals are yet to be operationalized. Now, speaking during a courtesy call from members of the Apostolic Fathers group, Mr. Mahama promised to expand partnerships with religious missions and churches in the health and education sectors.
There are issues that we would want to work with the church with. The church is known for its role in education and healthcare for a very long time. And indeed, in our time, previous time in office, we had come to the stage where we wanted to see an expanded role of the church, both in education and healthcare. And so one of the things I had indicated was that we needed to have a change of policy in terms of building public hospitals. And that in communities where you had a good operating mission hospital, rather than go and build another hospital to compete with it, we should spend the resources expanding the mission hospital so that it can provide the same quality health care that we expect. Unfortunately, rolling out this Agenda 111, many places where there are mission hospitals, government has gone to plant a new hospital. And already the Ghana Health Service is overburdened. They are not able to manage the hospitals well because we don't have professional health administrators managing those hospitals. You know, you have clinical services, clinicians, and you have hospital administration and management. These are two completely separate fields. The fact that the person is a good surgeon doesn't mean he'll be a good manager of a hospital. So if you look at the two hospitals, the Christian Health Association of Ghana Hospitals and the Mission Hospitals, they are better run than the Ghana Health Service hospitals. But all of a sudden we have another 80-something hospitals for Ghana Health Service to manage. I mean, what do you expect is going to happen? Government will put all the equipment, then gradually the equipment run down, X-ray is broken, MRI is broken down, this is broken down, and then people still have to go to the private sector to go and get these same services. So we need a change of mindsets completely. It's the same with schools. I mean, everybody is clamoring to go to the mission schools now because they are better monies. Everybody wants to go to Holy Child, Wesley Girls, and all those other schools. And so how we expand our partnership with the missions in terms of management of some of these facilities, instead of being in competition with the church and missions, we should rather be partnering with them, sometimes even handing over public schools to them to manage so that they will be managed better, handing over public hospitals to them to manage so that they will be managed better and reduce the burden that we have on their health services.
Well, my colleague Maxwell Agbagba joins me live with more. Maxwell, it's been a busy day. We know that Mahama has been engaging the founder of Action Chapel. He wants Ghanaians to manage their expectations. Why exactly?
Yes, so that was during the meeting with the Apostolic Fathers. That was when the issue came up. He said, usually when a new government is elected into power, the people's expectations are very, very high. But he wants Ghanaians to manage their expectations and rather pray for the president-elect. He encouraged the newly elected president to work diligently for the nation's development and to work towards changing what he referred to as the negative narrative surrounding Ghana.
I believe that at the point the media will excuse us. So, but for now, we came with some few proposals to discuss as our guide. Most times when new president and government comes, there's a very high expectations that high expectation that everybody has, and so we know that expectations have to be managed. Because you are a vessel that has come. I mean, these things that people say you've come to save, you've come to rescue, they should be very careful of that because you are a vessel in the hands of God. So they should stop saying that and pray for you rather that God can use you to execute the mandate that the people of this country have entrusted into your hands. I know it's a difficult challenge. During the time you were in opposition, we were talking one time, and you were saying that Mama Lodina, you and her were talking, and it was like, what at all are you doing? You know, why are you standing for election with the kind of situation that we are facing and things are going through? But I think that was when you realized that it's a call and it's a mandate of God that you have to fulfill.
Well, Maxwell, Ghanaians are looking forward to the implementation of John Mahama's social contract. I'm wondering, did he give any timeline as to how soon he will inaugurate the committee?
Well, he was not specific, but he said it's going to be very soon. He stated that he is committed to working diligently to ensure that by the end of the 120 days, tangible progress is made on the promises he has made regarding the social contract and he plans to soon inaugurate a committee dedicated to achieving these goals. Now, he stressed his aim to raise accountability to a new level, pointing out that the Constitution mandates upholding the principles of probity and accountability, making it a constitutional obligation.
We carefully selected the things that we thought were achievable in 120 days. And so we're going to work diligently to make sure that at the end of 120 days, we're able to put a check on each of them. And so I'll soon inaugurate a committee that is focused on achieving the 120-day plan. And under it, we have Operation Recover All the Loot. I'm happy you have expressed your support for it, because I do think that people must be held accountable. If you agree to accept the public trust, then you must account to the people who gave you that public trust. And so if we do this, it will make people think twice before they accept public office. I mean, if you live in your own private business, you can run it anyhow you want. That's your business. But if you come and the taxpayer puts you're put in an office which is paid with taxpayers' money, you must be prepared to account to the people for the trust that they have put in you.
And that is the President-elect, John Dramani Mahama. Still live here on Newsnight. It's on Joy 99.7 FM. We'll be sharing your thoughts with the rest of the world pretty shortly. George Rafe is joining me right now with business. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans. And of course, coming up in business, we'll be telling you more about some development in the energy sector, where President-elect wants the U.S. government to support the country in dealing with the challenges facing the energy sector. And also be telling you more details in other sectors of the economy, where Talo is assuring investors that the business remains strong despite Cosmos Energy halting plans to acquire the entity. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, President-elect John Mahama has revealed that he'll be seeking some assistance from the U.S. government to deal with some challenges facing the energy sector. The President-elect cites the role the U.S. government played in supporting the sector through the Millennium Challenge Compact. The President-elect said this when the U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Virginia Palmer, paid a working visit to his office.
Advantage and technology and knowledge that the U.S. has. We want to work closely to see how we can resolve some of the issues in that sector. Of course, we worked on the MCC together, and it's made Ghana's electricity generation sector more resilient than it was before the MCC. As I said, it was just the final part that we couldn't complete together. Luckily, we had the opportunity to discuss with the MCC when we went there to see how we could wrap up that part of our cooperation. And so I think that is something we'll look to start talking about as soon as we come into office after 7th January.
And that's President-elect John Mahama. Now, the Chamber of Agribusiness has described as prudent moves to redirect the focus of the Agric Ministry to depend more on value addition. President-elect John Mahama has announced that he plans changing the name of the ministry to Food and Agribusiness to help deal with the various challenges facing the sector. Chief Executive of the Chamber of Agribusiness, Anthony Morrison, says this move should be seen as a prudent decision.
I think the President-elect's decision to rename MOFA to MOFA reflects the current global trend in the global agriculture value chain, in that it does drive employment generation or employment creation. It also reduces the country's overriding responsibility on importation. It also provides an opportunity for us to reduce our post-harvest losses as a country tremendously. Now, and above all, it helps us to look at a long-term strategy in how to create some form of a global buffer in terms of our export foreign exchange, and also for the next the next 1 year to 5 years, this has the potential to add about 10 billion annually to Ghana's economy.
Chief Executive of the Chamber of Agribusiness, Anthony Morrison.
Now, Tally Oil has assured investors that the business is strong and intact. It follows an announcement by Cosmos Energy that is no longer interested in acquiring the oil firm. There is more in the following report.
Tullow Oil, in a statement, also went ahead to assure investors about the financial position of the business, maintaining that, as a standalone entity, it remains strong. It also took the opportunity to talk about the measures that it has taken to deal with the debt issues facing the company. For some, the move can be linked to managing the expected negative impact on the business following Cosmos Energy's plan to halt the plant takeover. This is because Tullow Oil's share price went down last Friday by more than 8% after it announced it has entered into preliminary talks with Cosmos Energy over plans to acquire all its shares. It is not clear for now other shocks that the company could be hit with as a result of the deadlock when it comes to Cosmos Energy's no deal to acquire Tullow Oil.
And that is the Business Desk report. Meanwhile, energy analyst Dr. Yusuf Suleimana has described the news as worrying for Tullow as well as the oil industry at large.
I feel that this is also very disturbing because if Cosmos, for whatever reason, is not able to make the deal, whoever is coming will not be able to offer what Cosmos probably. In a way, because Cosmos knows the field, they operate the field with Tullow for these years, and so it's just possible that maybe the terms and conditions were they didn't like they didn't like the terms and conditions respect to the deal. However, I just hope I just want to keep a little bit of optimism that something could still happen. But from the statement, no, I think things are looking a bit gloomy. We'll just wait and see. That's quite disappointing. Tullow Ghana, and of course for Ghana as a host nation. Yeah.
Dr. Yusuf Suleimana is an energy expert. Now, oil marketing firm Petrosol has emphasized their critical role and commitment providing clean and affordable fuel to motorists in the country. The company gave this assurance at the draw of its Energizing Dreams promo in Kumasi, where 14 lucky winners were awarded as part of their efforts to celebrate their 10th anniversary in the country. Mark Edubuating is lubricant marketing and communications manager at Petrosol Ghana.
Now, these ones are items that we give a quota to a consumer. If you're able to buy up to that quota, then you are part of those in the draw. And NLA will come and organize it. If you are lucky and you come up with a tricycle, it's yours and you pick it up. So for this particular draw, every month we are giving 14 items out. For this particular draw, every month 14 items. And we've done 2. The second is what you've just seen today. And we are going to do 4 more up to March. And then when March comes, we now have April to do the grand finale. And the grand finale, we are giving out a Suzuki Espresso, 2 of them, 2 Suzuki Espressos, and then we are giving 4 items each of what we've given every other month. So we have a lot of items coming, and they are going to go to consumers.
Mark Edubuating is lubricant marketing and communications manager at Petrosol Ghana, and that's all for business on Newsnight.
And John, thank you very much. A few of your messages on our WhatsApp console now. Ruben says it's very surprising that the shamefully defeated MPP government, and that instead of leaving office after losing the elections and allowing John Dramani Mahama and his NDC to find his level of peace and clean up the big mess they've done, they are still bent on their what he says, create loot and share strategy by attempting to force some unnecessary bills on us in Parliament. And we'll take you to Parliament pretty shortly. And we also have this message coming in from Senna, who says what former President John Dramani Mahama have said is totally true. And I hope that the next NDC government will reset Ghana's economy. And a final one just before we take you to Parliament. And this one from Kwashieman Kaswa says the MPP leadership in Parliament must be ashamed. Let's go to Parliament now. There's a lot of interest there.
A lot of happenings in Parliament, and we're looking forward to give you all that details shortly. The outgoing majority leader of Ghana's Parliament, Alexander Fayomaki, is urging leadership of the National Democratic Congress government to either retain the current Speaker of the House, Alban Bagbin, or choose a new Speaker who is already a member of Parliament. According to him, if the new John Mahama-led administration intends to change the Speaker, the individual should not be an outsider. He emphasized that Alban Bagbin has done an excellent job over the past 4 years as Speaker, and it would not be fair to replace him.
First, we are sad that Mr. Speaker, with his years of experience in parliamentary politics, will take the path he did yesterday, basically condescending and doing the bidding of the NDC minority. From day one, this parliament has seen one chaos or the other, all as a result of the behavior of the NDC minority and often supported by Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, Mr. Speaker did his worst. But we are not perturbed by all these because clearly Mr. Speaker wants to be in the good books of his party. He wants to remain Speaker again for a second term. So around this time that there's going to be elections, he wants to be seen as having helped his party to win the elections. He is no more seeing himself as a speaker who is a father of all. And that we find very disappointing and most unfortunate.
Meanwhile, Civil Group Parliamentary Network Africa says the experience of Alban Bagbin will be required in steering the affairs of the 9th Parliament throughout its session. Although the group's executive director, Samuel Bing, is unsure of who will be nominated for the Speaker position in the coming days, he believes that Speaker Bagbin holds a lot of experience that will be valuable in the House.
So I was saying that those were quite complimentary remarks, about the current speaker by the majority leader. Of course, anyone that has followed Parliament would know that the last 4 years under the leadership of Speaker Bagbin has been one that has benefited from his well of experience and expertise in parliamentary issues for the over 3 decades that he has been a member of Parliament and then transitioned to become a Speaker of Parliament. And some of us argue that any other speaker without that kind of experience in this dying 8th Parliament would have had a lot of struggles. We know that Speaker Bagbin, even with his experience, did not have it all rosy in this 8th Parliament. And so yes, he has done some amazing job. Parliamentary work really benefits from continuity. So far, we have not had any speaker aside Speaker Diapanan, who presided over the first and second Parliament. We've not had any other speaker who has gone beyond one term of Parliament, and this may be a good opportunity to continue with some of the work that Speaker Bagbin has done. So it's not a bad call. So
you had Samuel Bing there, his Parliamentary Network Africa Executive Director. It's time now for sports, and Musbao joins me in the studio. Musbao, what's trending?
Yeah, Faustina, it's the FIFA Best Award, which is this concluded in Doha, Qatar, and the big award of the night was who was going to clinch the FIFA Best Player of the Year award. And it went to Real Madrid and Brazil star Vinicius Jr., and of course, he had an outstanding 2023-24 season, winning the Champions League, the La Liga under Carlo Ancelotti, as well as the Spanish and European Super Cups. Well, in that time, remember, he scored 24 goals and created 11 assists for his teammate, with particular highlight coming when he scored in the Champions League final and put the Barcelona to the sword with a hat-trick in the domestic Super Cup. So it's a big win for Vinicius Jr. and his head coach Carlo Ancelotti also picked up the Coach of the Year, while Emiliano Martinez won Best Goalkeeper, and Alejandro Garnacho was handed the Puskás Award for Goal of the Year after his stunning overhead kick against Everton there. Well, so that's some update from the FIFA Best Award ceremony. But quick one from the Ghana Premier League and former Ghana Premier League champions, Midiama. They have parted ways with head coach Neboska Kapo following the expiration of his contract. Now, the 38-year-old joined Midiama in 2023 and under 1-year contract, hoping to lead the Takwa Bay side to another league title. However, following the end of his contract and failure to agree on a renewal, the coach has parted ways, and technical director Ivan Sadote will take charge of the team pending the appointment of a substantive coach. Midiama are currently 5th on the Premier League table with 21 points and will be looking to bounce back following their defeat to Vision FC when they host Kareli United at the TNA Stadium. That's it for sports.
Well, thank you very much. And for we've been hearing a lot from the president-elect, John Dramani Mahama. We've not heard much from the vice president, who, of course, was a flag bearer for the MPP and lost elections. But we're hearing from somebody who's very, very close to him. He is an associate of him. Some describe him as a confidant, Kabiru Mahama, who is a member of parliament elect for the vice president's home constituency of Wale Wale. And he's been talking about what they knew before the elections, and that their research ahead of the 2024 elections actually showed that breaking the 8 will be an uphill task. The research emphasized the need to secure a parliamentary majority for a strategic advantage. We know what the outcome is as we speak tonight. Now, speaking on the AM show this morning, Mr. Mahama, a close associate of the defeated MPP presidential candidate, acknowledged Ghanaians' disappointment with the party. He, however, says that the MPP is committed to learning from its mistakes and returning stronger in 2028.
Yeah, you see, we knew. We're clear in our mind that if we're going to lose this election, it's going to be lost on low turnout. And that the more you get your people out to vote, the more your chances of winning. So it was clear. All of us would have come and would have done whatever it is possible. I mean, I'm not belittling the fact that we implemented policies that were not to their liking. Some of them got affected by some of our policies, and you cannot be supporting a government whose policies are hurting. So all that put together, they have very good reasons why they were not coming to vote. And we just want to apologize to the base that, look, the New Patriotic Party has disappointed them. And this particular victory by the NDC was so massive that we couldn't have done anything. We would be coming back in 2028. And when we come back, some of the mistakes we made, we correct them.
Well, away from that, the future of 31 remaining students of Boku Technical Institute hangs by a thread. The school, which is the only second cycle institution serving over 8,000 residents in Boku and the North Dai district of the Volta region, is on the brink of collapse due to severe neglect and an acute shortage of teachers, without a principal for nearly 2 years and plagued by deteriorating infrastructure. Students like Christine, Andy and Elizabeth are losing hope by the day. There's more in this report by Carlos Kaloni.
I want to become an automobile engineer. When I first came to the school, I didn't like anything about the school because no boarding, no practical tools that we used to learn. We don't have anything in the school. So I am so sad of it. Every day when I come to school, we don't have enough teachers. We have only 3 teachers teaching all the subjects, all the courses. So every day when I come to school, I'm very sad. Sometimes I go to one side to cry because we don't have teachers who will teach that we will achieve something in future. So I thought of it that I'll be changing my school because of how this place is. We don't have anything. I can't just be here so that throughout the 3 years, we don't have any hand skills. That means if I didn't even go to school, it's even better.
We don't have enough teachers. The principal too is not coming to school regularly. The classrooms too are not attractive to students who come here.
The cry of Adaruma Christian Andy and Elizabeth Clemy, first-year automobile engineering student at Boku Technical Institute, as they fear their dreams may be shattered by the school's dire state. Established in 1994 under the Integrated Community Center for Employable Skills (ICES) program, the institute is the only second cycle school in Boku, a community of over 8,000 residents in the North Dai district of the Volta region. The school first collapsed in 2014 due to a lack of infrastructure and teachers. Thanks to community leaders' efforts, it reopened in the 2016-2017 academic year with 47 students. Yet, just 6 years on, it teeters on the brink of closure again.
And Carlos Coloni filed that report.
Well, Evans, the countdown is on to the 2025 Joy FM Family Party in the Park. I am looking forward to it. Max Fuga, who is Director of Sales here at Joy News, has been detailing the main attractions with Lexus Bill.
Working whole year, you've been moving out of the house early, coming back late the whole year. This is the time.
Yeah.
The family is everything. The family is everything. And for once this year, take the family out.
Yeah.
And we are providing you that opportunity to be out with the family on December 26th at the Bri Botanical Gardens as usual. And please note, we have the whole park to ourselves on that day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So
the
I'm sure
whole botanical garden.
The whole botanical gardens.
Wow.
To give people that freedom and that's enough space to bond, to chat, and to have everything. And as usual, like I said, we bring in the Daddy's Corner has been rebranded. Live Band Corner.
The Live Band Corner. Oh, my goodness. My favorite place.
Oh, yes. And it's going to be branded by Velton's Beer. So everything you want will be there. And
So
as usual, the grills will come with it.
If you didn't know, this Live Band Corner started off with a very interesting name, the Beer
Village.
The Beer Village.
Well, we're looking forward to the Joy FM Family Party in the Park. And as we leave the studios, what should we expect?
Tonight, we're going to have a conversation on the perfect tech gift you can get for your loved one for Christmas. This is Adobia, and on Geek Squad, that's what we're talking about this evening.
I'm looking forward to it.
Gift.
Okay. Gets me an iPhone 16 and I'm fine. That's the
You would
perfect.
want an iPhone?
Yes.
Okay.
Evans, I'm looking forward to getting that gift from you.
iPhone
16.
16. That's what she
16.
wants. Yeah, iPhone 16.
Plus.
No, you don't want a Huawei?
Because you use a Huawei?
Yes.
Absolutely not.
Oh, really?
Yes, please.
So why? For those of us who use Huawei, we are not good enough.
No, you have to
Honestly-
drop that come to the winning side,
Oh,
please.
goodness me.
But yeah, that's what we're talking about. So definitely our listeners should stay tuned. We'll be talking about this and more.
Well, what do you want?
For me, for a tech gift, I think I'm looking at anything to do with earpiece, probably AirPods.
Yeah, that's more like it. It's more like it. And again, 500 CD, I can get you something. Stay tuned for Geek Squad.